everyone, this is Professor Marcel Raminger. Welcome to Module 5. In this video we are going to be talking about minor scales. Okay, so in the last couple of modules, a few modules ago, we talked about major scales and we talked about major keys. Alright, now here's the thing about scales. There is not just one type of scale. Alright, now the major scale is the most popular. It makes the most sense to talk about first with its connection to Pythagoras and its connection to Western music and how it pretty much helps us define Western music. But, like I said, it's not the only one that exists. There's also the minor scales, which is kind of based on the major scale as it is related to the major scale, okay? So, just a quick overview. Here is a major sound. Here is a minor sound. So we're going to sort of explore that a little bit more. So let's talk about what exactly is a minor scale.
So if major scales have their sort of order of intervals, or there's this sort of recipe in creating a major scale, well, the same thing can happen with minor scales. So here is the order of intervals for a minor scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Now, if you're looking at this order of intervals and you're saying to yourself, wait a second, this looks vaguely familiar. Well, you're not completely off. It's because it's a major scale moved over. All right, so it's basically the same thing, just shifted a bit. So let's start with our C major scale with that order of intervals. Okay, and now we want to find out what is the relative minor for C major. Well, all we have to do is go down 3 half steps. So from C to B flat and down to A, or otherwise known as a minor third down from C. So this takes us to A, which is the relative minor to C major. We can build a whole scale off of A, so this is the A minor scale. Here's the intervals to make sure that everything is correct. And voila, we have the relative minor to C major. Let's do the same thing for G major. Okay, so here's our G major scale. We'll do the same thing. We'll go 3 steps, half steps down from G major, G, F sharp, F to E, and we build a minor scale based on E. Here's the minor scale, and here's our, we're going to switch to bass clef. So this way we get a little bit more experience reading in bass clef, and here's our intervals. Okay, so here's our E minor scale with our order of intervals. And E minor, of course, is the relative minor to G major. Okay, so how does this work with key signature? Okay, so we see this key signature with no sharps or flats. Well, what are we thinking? Okay, well, we immediately know after studying the major keys and scales rigorously that this means C major. But that's not entirely true, okay, because C major shares a key signature with A minor. So this is another reason why these two scales or these two keys are related, okay? So it's like two people sharing, or two relatives sharing the same house, and we all know what that could be like. All right, so we see this key signature, and it has 1 sharp. So what's the major key? Well, it's G major. Okay, and this leads us to the relative minor, which also shares this key signature, which is E minor. Now, in order to get a better idea about this, we can take a look at the circle of fifths. Okay, this sort of outlines all the major keys and their relative minors, as well as their key signatures. So we have a key signature with no sharps or flats. It's C major, and there's A minor. So the outer circle is the major keys. The inner circle is the minor keys. So here's C major and A minor. Here's G major and E minor, D major and B minor, and so forth and so on.
Okay, so here is a tip to help you find the relative minor. So if you see a key signature and you're able to find what the major key is, and you need to find out what the relative minor to that key signature is, you can use a keyboard. All right, so I set up my keyboard right over here, and we can use the keyboard to help us find the relative minor. So, for instance, let's say we are over here. Here's middle C.
right, now we need to find the relative minor to middle C. Well, you can go down what is known as a minor third, or 3 half steps. You go 1, 2, 3, and as you can see, I end up on A. A is the relative minor to C major. Okay, so let's pick a random note. Let's say this one. And you'll say, oh my god, B flat. B flat major, what would be the relative minor to that? So all you have to do is go down 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. There you go. So G minor is the relative minor to B flat major. And of course, by going the other way, by going up, you can find the relative major to a given relative minor. So for example, what if the relative minor is here on F, all right? So if you're on F, you just go up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. There you go. A flat major is the relative major to F minor. So you can do these 3 half steps. Later when we talk about intervals, then you'll realize that these are minor thirds. All right, so C to A, B flat to G, and F to A flat. Those are minor thirds. But a much easier way, if you're not familiar with minor thirds, would be to just do 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now it's time for a quick check. Right here we have a passage of music from one of Chopin's etudes. So we're going to try and figure out what key this passage is in. Let's go ahead and listen to it. Okay, so how does that sound to you? To me, it sounds a little scary, a little foreboding. So definitely signs that this is in a minor key. Let's go ahead and listen to this again. Definitely sends chills up my spine. Okay, so we definitely heard it. It definitely isn't a minor key, but the question is, which minor key? Well, the first thing we have to do is take a look at that key signature. So when we look at the key signature, we see 3 flats. So use those 3 flats to figure out what the major key is and what the relative minor would be. Pause the video, and when you think you have found the answer to what key this is in, unpause the video. Did you get the correct answer? Okay, so 3 flats is equal to E flat major. That's the major key associated with 3 flats. However, we're looking for the relative minor. Now, in the helpful hints, I told you how you could use the keyword to figure that out. And you can also use the circle of fifths. So E flat major, the relative minor is C minor. Here it is on the circle of fifths, where we see that E flat major shares the same key signature as C minor. Did you get the correct answer? I hope you did. If not, go back, rewatch the video, keep practicing your relative majors and relative minors, keep studying that circle of fifths, and I'm sure you will get it. Good luck.